Welcome to Grounds for Conversations. I'm Amber Noble. It's difficult to find common ground when we focus on things we disagree about. But if we take a step back, we realize that we all have things to learn. Grounds for Conversations is a podcast where we dive into a conversation about Scripture, looking at the story in its entirety. This is for the believer, the questioner, the invested, and the searching. I invite you to join the conversation. Also, at the end of this podcast, stick around for an extra shot, a conversation where we discuss everything about nothing. Welcome back to Grounds for Conversations. My name is Amber Noble, and once again, I have my friend here, Charles Browder, co-hosting with me today. How you doing, Charles?
Great. Back again, baby. Back like a bad itch.
Oh, gross. Okay. So, I'm excited about this topic because I've been really reading about it a lot. It's something I think that we all face, and I think we don't know what to do with it, so we kind of just dismiss it. So today I want to talk about doubt. What is doubt? Is doubt normal? Is doubt a sin? And obviously, and I think that this has to be said, any of these topics with different people on this podcast, we're just scratching the surface, man. There's so much more that, not to go to your itch thing. I know that's what you're thinking. No, but like the idea that we could probably really dive in this and talk about it for a long time, but this is meant to just start a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And hopefully it will cause people to, number one, if they had questions, answer some of those questions, but then also make them research more and dive in on their own personal journey.
Also, we are the final authority on any of this stuff. What we say goes. Do not ever disagree with anything we say.
Thank God today is opposite day, because that is the furthest from the truth.
Wait, I'm reading from the Joe Rogan podcast. Sorry. Let me change scripts.
Okay, so doubt. The word doubt defined, it's a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. So, to fear or be afraid kind of falls into that category too. When you think of doubt in Scripture, what's the first thing you think of? I think
of every single person that's ever been in Scripture. You know what I mean? Like, I think at first I get, I like that definition. I think in a lot of times we get in a trap where we think that faith is the absence of doubt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that if you have faith, then you won't have doubt.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's just not true. We see Mary doubted that she was pregnant. Like, are you sure? I haven't lain with anybody, Abraham doubted that they were ever going to have a child with Sarah as they got older.
I mean, even the disciples, as Jesus was calling them out, it was just like, wait, what?
Yes. And
what is this about?
So it's important to establish, hey, doubt isn't the opposite of faith. It's an element of faith that everyone has had going forward. Like it's not.
It's what you do with the doubt that establishes or destroys your faith.
Yeah.
Okay. Doubt is it's a real thing, because you only know, like my grandma used to say this, and it's kind of profound, but it's kind of like, wait, what? She would say, well, you only know what you know. Okay. What does that mean? She's like, well, you don't know what you don't know. And if you knew what you didn't know, you would know it. And I'm like, what, are we in like a Dr. Seuss book? Yeah. Right. Like what's happening here?
I don't know. Third base.
But you think about that, and that's the truth. Like everything we know, and really anytime any of the Scripture that you're reading, it's through the lens of also your own understanding. So when you read about an angry dad, and let's say your dad was angry, like you read about somebody who was angry and you've experienced anger in your home, like that, you're reading it through the lens of understanding anger, right? If you read about, like you read about the prodigal son and the fact that he was hungry and he was eating from the pig's trough, right? Like if you've ever been hungry, like we understand things through the lens, or we read things through the lens of our own understanding.
Right.
And so,
and things have been the same since the time of Jesus. Like it's the same.
Absolutely.
Like we talked about a second ago before we started, like the man who had a son that was oppressed, and he says, "Go, just believe." He goes, "I believe, but help my unbelief."
Right.
I believe, but I'm struggling with doubt. Jesus will never turn away. He never turned away the questions of a sincere searcher.
Okay. So, but here's the thing. Sometimes religious leaders do. And I think we confuse religion and Jesus a lot. I grew up with a lot of wonderful things as far as my faith, but there was also some really bad teaching, text out of context, if you will, that that doubt is sin, because like you said, it's an absence of faith. And so if you're questioning God, you have sin in your life. And the reality is, that's not the case at all. So what you had was you had people that would give their life to Christ, and then they still had their issues. They still had their addictions. They still had the mess that they made before they encountered Christ. And now they have to pretend like all that's not there, because any sign of doubt or any sign of not having it together meant that they were not a Christian. And then you start reading in the Bible and you're like, well, that wasn't the case for the disciples, so that's not the case for us, right? There's
But even then it was the case for the disciples. Like even they doubted. Like even they said,
I'm saying that they were, my point is, we are not allowed, like I was taught, you're not allowed to doubt.
Yeah.
And the disciples were like, well, here it is, because I'm doubting, and that's the difference. I am a question asker by nature. And I think that anybody that knows me well knows that about me. I know you know that. Another guest that we've had on this podcast that I've worked with, Jason Mock, he could tell you that, like when we first met, I just said, here's what you need to know about me. Yeah. I ask a lot of questions.
And you're like, here's what I need to know about you.
Yeah.
Just
yeah. No, but my questions are never, and that's the thing. I think that we have to first recognize whether this comes to authority in our life or spiritual authority like God. Questions asked don't necessarily mean that you're questioning the authority. It's seeking to understand.
Right. And when Jesus comes in, and like I said, he never turns away a sincere person who's searching. I mean, we think about the people in the last 100 years that we know, not we know personally, but every story you've read has started with an itch or a doubt or some kind of inkling, like C.S. Lewis or the guy that wrote Case for Christ, Lee Strobel. Francis Collins, he was the head of the Human Genome Project, who said, hey, I've studied this stuff. Holy moly, there's got to be something else.
There's got to be more.
And it led him to Christ. Josh McDowell, you know, all these apologetics, people of faith started as atheists, as questioners, as doubters, saying, like, I don't believe any of this. And Jesus met their doubts.
Right.
And they pushed forward into Christianity because they said, I've seen, I've tasted, I've researched, I've done X, Y, and here's my conclusion. I have no conclusion but to believe in Christ.
Well, but my point originally there was when your experience is not an open arm embrace when questions are asked, but a rebuke.
Yeah.
It's easy to doubt God in silence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Not knowing that Jesus, like you think about, you're coming into this and your experience has been with maybe harsh parents that are like, don't ask questions, do as I say. Or you've lived in an authoritative situation, whether it's with a boss or in education, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And you've not been afforded the opportunity to be around an educator or a parent or an employer that says, hey, I want you to learn, ask questions. And so like, that's what, like with Jason Mock, I was like, hey, first thing you need to know about me, I ask a lot of questions, and it's never me questioning your authority. It's me understanding. It's me seeking to understand.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple friends send me that it's like a meme that says, I'm no one's ride or die. I want to know, where are we going? How long are we going to be going? Do we get to stop and eat? Will there be snacks? And why do I have to die? And it's like, that's, I don't have to be in control, but I have a lot of questions. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, once I say me, but I think that's a lot of people. Once I understand the why, you better drive this boat. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And shame on those teachers or people you've been around that have said, don't doubt. Oh my gosh, that's a sign of faith. Because if you're the closest people to Jesus, like you said, disciples, and you're still doubting,
right,
after all that time, after all those miracles, after all that, then history, we're going to have doubt.
Sure.
Like even when the women came to them and said, he is risen, it said, what did it say? It said, and their words seemed like idle tales, and they did not believe them.
Right.
After all of that, after everything they'd seen,
right,
raising Lazarus from the dead, doing this, doing that, water
because
to wine.
Everything they experienced was a first time to experience it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And it was just like this. Okay. So like the other day, a friend of ours, Cam Crane, said that everyone in the New Testament was first generation Christians. And I thought that was so profound. So like they're all facing this stuff. Like they could have experienced Lazarus, but there had not been anything else like that. So then when Jesus dies and raises again, they're like, but the one that was doing all this died. So I don't know that I believe this. And I think that if you've been in a culture or an environment where you're told you're not allowed to ask questions, that doesn't mean you don't doubt. It just means you don't doubt out loud.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And so to pretend to be any type of a person, a parent, an employer, a spiritual leader that stifles someone from asking questions, you're preventing them from fully understanding.
Yeah.
And being intimidated by people's questions, that's your personal issue, not the person asking the questions. And I think that should be said. When you come around like a kid, like I was, that had a lot of questions, I want to know why. I want to know, how does it work? Like, what makes this happen? Why do we do it this way? Why is it in this order? It was for me, and I'm not saying it's not that way for everybody, but it was never about, I question your authority. I just want to know why and how. Like, why are we going to go on this trip? Why are we going to go do this? Why is that what we're going to eat for dinner? Why do I have to wear a dress to church? Why, like I had a lot of questions. It wasn't like you're not the boss of me.
That was a big one for me though. Like, why do I have to wear a dress to church?
I know that your parents were weird, man.
Yeah. It's those little kid dresses that were for boys too, like Catholic.
What? I mean, you did grow up like backwoods Arkansas, so that might be.
That's true.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of you as a kid.
Yeah, no shoes.
You just had overalls on.
Overall, horrible.
Yeah. Okay, so understanding that we established that doubt is not the opposite of fear. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. Doubt is not the opposite of faith, but how you handle the doubt will affect your faith. You're right.
Where do you go with your doubt?
Where do you go with it? And what does that, how does that play out? How did it play out in scripture? And how does that play out in our lives today?
I feel like you got a couple examples in your back pocket.
I actually have a song I've prepared.
Okay.
What would you do if I started singing?
I would pull out my little harmonizer and go, and then key of B, and then you start.
Like the pitch pipe?
Yeah, pitch pipe.
From Pitch Perfect?
Yeah, pitch pipe perfect. Ooh.
Oh. Or harmonica would be better.
Or his Monica nowadays.
They, them's Monica. Whatever. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what I just said. Stop talking, Amber. Okay. So I think automatically people ought go to Thomas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about I love the way the gospel is just laid out in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And you see some of the personalities of these different people. And whether you're a Chosen fan or not, I do love how they have made.
What do you mean a Chosen fan? Like part of the elect?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, we're going to shift now into that. No, in the TV show, The Chosen, I do love how they do a very good job of displaying kind of like personalities, right? Yes. Like it's just because like you imagine, I think this is probably what Matthew was like, or I bet Peter was kind of a hothead like this. And then you see it and you're like, that's exactly what I was thinking.
That was Thomas. He was real.
Thomas. Okay. So you get to jump to, let's go to John chapter 20 and start in verse 24. So this is to not read the first 23 verses. Jesus has
appears to Thomas.
He's resurrected. He has died. He has risen again. He is fully God. Okay? He has defeated hell and the grave. He is in his glorified body. I think it's important to understand that. This was not the Jesus that they crucified. This is Jesus the resurrected. It's different.
Yep.
Okay? So he appears to all of the disciples. They all encounter him. They're dealing with this. And in verse 24, it says, one of the 12 disciples, Thomas, nicknamed the twin, was not with the others when Jesus came. They told him, we have seen the Lord. But he replied, I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands, put my fingers into them, and place my hand into the wound of his side. 8 days later, the disciples were together. So this is 8 days. First of all, first time I heard that, like as a kid, I was like, ooh, like, why are you so, just let me see it. I don't have to stick my finger in it. But like, no, he's like, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to stick it into the hole. Like let's talk about that for a second, because that's intense. It's not like, hey, he's alive. It's not, I have to see for myself. He's like, no, the very place where they pierced his body, I want to stick my finger in it. It's like, what? How twisted are you? Did you not get held enough as a baby? Like, what is this about? But that, what that tells me, and I don't know if you see it this way, what that tells me is the level of grief and pain that Thomas was in.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to know that I know that I know. Like, I'm not playing. I'm not going to just see it. I'm going to stick my finger in it. Because with as graphic and as disgusting as that is, the pain that I'm feeling, I have to know that I know. Yeah. Like, I mean, put yourself for just a second, Charles, in that moment. Like, imagine you were a disciple, Jesus appeared to you, and you're so stoked. And I wasn't there, and I'm a disciple too, and you come running up and you're like, Amber, he's alive. And I'm like, who? And you're like, Jesus. And you're telling me we saw him and you're so excited. And I'm like, Fun Sucker McGee. Eeyore.
I like to think of them all as Winnie the Pooh characters. Like
the disciples are Winnie the Pooh characters.
Yeah, like Peter is Rabbit because he's always like, let me at him. And
I've never thought about him as
Eeyore.
Like Winnie the Pooh characters, but okay, yeah. I'm tracking.
Eeyore. He was definitely like, Eeyore's like, it's raining outside.
I think he's like, okay, so let's go with that Eeyore. But kind of an angry Eeyore.
Yeah. Well, I think you look at Thomas's full story. Like
take it out of the Disney and take it back to the reality. Thomas's full story. Go ahead.
I'm switching to Star Wars now. He's like, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding. You've got to think of the elements that made, I really do think that he was a glasses half empty kind of guy. When you look at his, like, but he was like very loyal. Like when we go back to, when Jesus was going, like we're going back to Judea, Thomas was like, is the only one that said, let us go with him and we'll die with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He
like,
was, well, and that's the
I don't
point.
think
He
that
was so committed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he was a loyal person. So Thomas was a loyal person. He was also very honest and real. At the Passover in the upper room, he said, Jesus started, let not your hearts be troubled, this, and this. He got done with all of that, saying, you understand. Thomas was like, we don't know where you're going, and how can we know the way?
Right.
Like he wasn't it wasn't just this little point in time.
And then that point, he wasn't asking the question, doubting Jesus. He was like, I'm just telling you, we don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. I'm not saying like this little point in time where it's like he's saying, I'm not here, like I that's fine, but I'm not going to believe it. He gets pegged with doubting Thomas for the rest of history.
Right.
But I'm saying like even his full story, he is very not negative, but basically like, hey, no, I don't know what you're saying. Or, hey, let's just go with him and die with him. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we have this picture of Thomas. He's very real, honest, and loyal, but he is like, he has passed, and like he wasn't with them when the tomb was rolled away and they came to him. It says he wasn't there. Thomas wasn't with them. He wasn't with them when Jesus appeared the first time. He was not hanging out and trying to bond with these disciples and saying like, we got to figure out a plan.
I think it's because he was grieving.
Or he was in disbelief. That like, I don't have for a minute believe the rest of everybody was grieving, but that didn't stop any of them from doing what was right. Hold on. Let me finish on my thought. What I'm saying is like, he was sitting in disbelief, like that he just saw dead people don't get up.
Right.
I saw Jesus raised a guy from the dead. I saw that, but now that guy's dead. Like, I think the reason he wasn't in any of these scenarios after the resurrection, because he wasn't with the disciples. He wasn't sticking with them. He wasn't in these places. And yeah, it may have been because of grief, but they were all grieving. So that's not really an excuse to disband,
So I think the point you're making there, that's something that I've never thought about. How necessary it is to maintain community.
Yeah.
In the midst of chaos and grief and uncertainty.
Well, my point was that I would categorize what we see at the beginning of like when we see places like Mary and Abraham and stuff like that are doubt. I would say that Thomas crossed into what I would categorize as unbelief. Like he had given up, like wasn't hanging out with anybody. He was like, I'll believe it when I see it. Don't care to chase down what you're saying or go seek out for myself that it's true. Jesus is going to have to appear in a room magically before me. And that's exactly what
stick my fingers in his holes of his hands.
And I think that there's a distinction we need to make between unbelief and doubt, because I do think they are different.
But I think that Thomas teetered on the two. Because here's the thing. He didn't, hear me on this. He didn't say, no way, it's not possible. He said, if I'm going to believe, this has to happen. So to me, that says that there's still hope, that there's still a desire in him. He did know Jesus well enough. I agree with you. He was in unbelief, but he knew he had experienced enough of Jesus, enough of the supernatural to go. He didn't say, that's dumb, that didn't happen, and walk away. He said, the only way I'll believe that is this. So there was still an open door. Yeah. Like to rob from Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance, right? Like there was a little glimmer of hope.
I guess.
You don't think?
Well, I think that there's, like I said, there's a difference between doubt and disbelief. Doubt looks for answers. Unbelief doesn't really care about the answers. He wasn't seeking out to make sure. He didn't say, tell me where he's at. I'll run to him. You know what I mean? Tell me, like, where does this happen? Where did he appear to you? Like he was just like, I'll believe it when I see it. And I think doubt looks for answers, searches for answers, and unbelief doesn't really care about it. Doubt says, I can't believe. Unbelief says, I won't believe. I won't believe that until I see it, you know?
But how cool that his unbelief, in that moment, Jesus met him exactly how he needed to meet him.
Yeah.
You know? And so what's it say in verse 26? 8 days later, the disciples were together again. And this time Thomas was with them.
Yeah.
So something happened in that 8 days. You're right. He hadn't been with them all this time.
Yeah.
8 days later, he's with them. The doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. Peace be with you, he said. Then he said to Thomas, put your fingers here and look at my hands. Put your hand in the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe. My Lord and my God, Thomas exclaimed. And Jesus told him, you believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me. I think it's really cool. And you're right. He's been labeled Doubting Thomas for forever. Everybody's like, ooh, boo, Thomas. But we're so much like him in so many ways.
Yeah.
What I love is that Jesus in his glorified self, completely healed, completely whole, still had holes in his hands, still had a hole in his side. And it wasn't because he wasn't able to heal. He did it for Thomas. Like, Jesus knew Thomas needed that. Even though Thomas's disbelief, if you will, as you called it, was like, dude, because Jesus just said, and you know what? You believe because you see me, but I'm going to tell you who's blessed. Those who didn't have to stick their fingers in the holes of my hand, they're blessed.
Right. And Thomas could have took the opportunity. Thomas didn't go to the tomb to see if it was empty.
Right.
You know what I mean? He didn't rush there after hearing that.
But how much does God love us that even when we don't do our part, he goes the extra mile to meet us where we're at?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty profound.
And this is post-resurrection Jesus. So, I mean, it pretty much says he appeared in the room.
Right.
Like he just in the midst. Like he's like, hey,
here I am.
Can you imagine being like, if you're Thomas, like, oh, crap. You know, like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
You know, all the rest of those disciples were like, had this like cheesy.
Yeah, Thomas. How about now? Put your money where your mouth is, Tommy.
They're all betting, like, watch Thomas wet his pants.
Tommy twin, get in here.
Tommy twin. Okay, so you've got this example, and then
that's why I'm make sure we make a distinction between doubt and unbelief, because I think that doubt will work through the difficulties and find a faith that is reasonable and satisfying. And unbelief is different, that it decides against faith and pushes it out at all costs. You know, like people that say, I don't want to hear that about that right now. Right. I don't want to hear this. We're having a great conversation. I don't want to hear about the gospel. I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to talk about Jesus. That is unbelief. You know, we have even the Israelites, you know, 400 years, you know, they're in captivity. They get rescued, you know, out of it. And all they know is some guy named Abraham was promised something a long time ago. They don't know. All they have is stories. They see all these plagues, all these miracles, the Red Sea, all that, and they're right back to it. It says the Bible says that their unbelief, like they pushed away, like, no, we want bread, we want water, we want this, you know, like we're thirsty. Like you trusted God to part the Red Sea, but you didn't trust him to just bring you a glass of water. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. It said there is because of their disobedience. And then the next verse it says, which is basically born out of unbelief.
Right.
So you have an unbelief that says, I don't want to hear that right now. I just want what I want. I want to talk what I want. And I'm not saying that Thomas was a fully like that, but he wasn't seeking answers. He wasn't saying, I can't believe, I just can't believe it. You know, and like he wasn't excited about it. He was downplaying. It was for the first time probably you see him being dishonest. Like, no, that's not, it's more obstinacy than it is honesty.
Well, like I said a while ago, and I think that I think it's a bigger deal than we want to make it out to be. But the importance of community when you're going through things.
Yeah. Because
when you're surrounded by people, when you're like, I don't want to talk about it, it goes back to the last couple times we've talked. Well, it's something you need to hear. You may not want to hear the truth, but you need to hear the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you let go of this. It's kind of the idea that when your friend is hurting and they're just wanting to stay in bed with the covers pulled over their heads, a good friend shows up, opens the window, say, "You stink. Get up, get in the shower. We're going to lunch. We're getting out of this house. We're going for a walk. You need some vitamin D. You need some fresh air. I don't feel like it." Well, I know you don't feel like it, but we're not going to do what you're feeling. We're going to do what you're needing. And Thomas needed that. The rest of the disciples, they obviously had that. Now, you know, those conversations were like all over the place, confusion, emotional, because they didn't know what to expect.
Right.
You know, I always talk about like if there's a film room in heaven where you can watch the replays. I would love to know what those conversations look like in those 3 days.
Like those little silent film clown cars where they get out and run into each other.
No, I don't want to watch that. But I want to hear.
No, I'm saying that's what the disciples were probably like. Just like, what do we do? What do we do?
We don't know what to do. I think that, I don't know, you bring up a good point, and it's just, I'm processing right now, just the idea that, because I knew he wasn't with them, but I never thought about the fact that in all of those situations, he wasn't with them until this last time, and that doubt turned into disbelief.
Yeah.
I do love the fact that Jesus meets us either way. Yeah.
He said, poof.
Boom.
And
there I am.
Peace. Because he's like, they're freaking out. They're going to freak out when I just jump in this room.
Calm down.
Ain't no door that can hold me.
Okay. So jump back. Were you done with your thought? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay. Jump over to Luke chapter 1. And verse 8.
Okay.
Says, one day Zechariah was serving God in the temple, for his order was on duty that week. As was the custom of the priest, he was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the Lord and burn incense. While the incense was being burned, a great crowd stood outside praying. Okay, I think we need to pause there and understand nobody, not just anybody, could go in the temple.
Right.
Wait. Jump back up to verse 5. It says, when Herod was king of Judea, there was a Jewish priest named Zechariah. He was a member of the priestly order of, how do you say that? Abijah. And his wife Elizabeth was also from the priestly line of Aaron. Zechariah and Elizabeth were righteous in God's eyes, careful to obey all the Lord's commandments and regulations. They had no children because Elizabeth was unable to conceive, and they were both very old. Then back to where we were at. Verse 8. One day Zechariah was serving God in the temple, for his order was on duty that week. As was custom of the priest, he was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the Lord and burn incense. While the incense was being burned, a great crowd stood outside praying. We know no one was allowed to go in there unless they were given order. They had been proven clean. They had to do all the things. And he's inside burning incense. People are waiting outside because they can't get in. Verse 11, while Zechariah was in the sanctuary, an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing to the right of the incense altar. Zechariah was shaken and overwhelmed with fear when he saw him. But the angel said, "Don't be afraid, Zechariah. God has heard your prayer. Your wife Elizabeth will give you a son, and you are to name him John. You have great joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great in the eyes of the Lord. He must never touch wine or other alcoholic drinks. He will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before his birth, and he will turn many Israelites to the Lord their God. He will be a man with the spirit and the power of Elijah. He will prepare the power for the coming of the Lord. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children and will cause those who are rebellious to accept the wisdom of the godly." Zechariah said to the angel, "How can I be sure this will happen? I'm an old man now. My wife is also well along in her years." Then the angel said, I'm Gabriel. I stand in the very presence of God. It was he who sent me to bring you this good news. But now, since you didn't believe what I said, you'll be silent and unable to speak until the child is born. For my words will certainly be fulfilled at the proper time. And so you're like, well, hold on. This doesn't make sense because you've got Thomas is allowed to ask all kinds of questions. Like, I'm going to stick my finger in the hole, blah, 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 blah. What's the difference between Thomas and Zechariah? And I don't know that, I'm not saying, give us the answer, Charles. I'm saying, let's talk about that. Yeah. First of all, Zechariah was in the temple. He was in there worshiping God. His heart was postured and ready to receive from God. The angel of the Lord appears. It's obvious. He knows that this is the Spirit of God talking to him, right? And when he questions, God didn't say, never mind, I revoke the gift I'm giving you. He said, you're going to be silent. Have you ever wondered why? I don't know that I know the answer to that. I don't know that any of us know the answer. Why is that what God did? Why did God silence him? He didn't kill him. I mean, he didn't punish him. It wasn't like you're gonna have a disease until the baby's born. You're gonna go blind. You're gonna go it was just, you're not gonna be able to talk. You'll be able to eat and do all the things. You're just not gonna be able to talk. And
what if Gabriel just pulled an audible? Oh yeah, buddy, quit your yapping.
Shut up. But what I think is so interesting is it ends with that. It says, for my words will certainly be fulfilled at the proper time. Mm-hmm. When you go back down, it says that when he finally did come out, in verse 22, it says, when he finally did come out, he couldn't speak to them. Then they realized, talking about the people, from his gestures and his silence, that he must have seen a vision in the sanctuary. So it's like God gave specific details to him. And he asks Gabriel, how can I be sure this will happen? Hmm. God shuts his mouth. Again, this is just me processing. God shuts his mouth. So he has to watch it play out. He's not able to question, and he's not able to go to his friends or his wife and say, can we process this? Hmm. There was no verbal processing. It was, I told you as it would be, and for my words will certainly be fulfilled at the proper time. Watch and see. I mean, what is the scripture verse in Proverbs 18:21? Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Mm-hmm. How, not to take text out of context, but how easy would it have been for him to come out and be telling his friends, and they're like, dude, your wife is old. Not just old, but old. Saying things to cause him to doubt. How easy would it be for him to talk himself in and out of things? How easy would it be for the story to have just been to be built upon? But yet none of that happened because he couldn't talk. No one knew what had happened. They didn't play some major game of charades. One word sounds like, it was like, there's going to be a baby. My wife is going to be pregnant. So that process of him finding out that his wife's pregnant, and she's rejoicing and she's excited, and he's just sitting there not speaking. And he's think about that for a minute. He's watching all of this play out. The moment that baby is born, he gets his voice back. Mm. Was that God's punishment, or was that really God's blessing? Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we see it as God's punishment, but maybe not. Yeah. Maybe the Lord was just protecting him from himself. Maybe he was protecting. Maybe he's like, look, you asked, how will I be sure? Okay. Be quiet and watch. You're not going to talk yourself in and out of this. You're not going to tell anybody this. When it happens and you get your voice back, then you'll be able to share the story. Then people will see my goodness and my faithfulness. Then this doubt that you have, that I'm not going to punish you for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure that you fully see what I said would happen will happen. Down to like there were some details. He will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he's born. You know what happens when you're quiet? You pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
You ever thought about that? Like, you see a lot more when you're quiet. I mean, I know I'm a talker, but I am a people watcher. And I know you are too.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to sit and just watch people. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
Imagine what Zechariah saw played out in front of him, that the Lord spoke to him through Gabriel. And he couldn't question it. He could not verbally.
Mm-hmm.
Even down to he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he's born. Mary walks in the room and Elizabeth's like, whoa, because John the Baptist leapt because he was filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Zechariah is watching all this play out and can say nothing because it wasn't, in my opinion, please chime in. In my opinion, it wasn't punishment from God. It was God going, I want to teach you something, buddy.
Yeah. I never thought of it as punishment. I think the difference you asked earlier between him and Thomas is that what they doubted. Like, Zechariah doubted God's power and ability, and Thomas doubted Jesus's activity. Where is he? What's he doing when he's showing up?
His ability, right?
Yeah, I would say activity, but that was just my word for it. But yeah, and so like your Zechariah is doubting his power, and yeah, I never really viewed it as a punishment or non-punishment. It was just almost a consequence of what happens. You know what I mean? Like what is going to take? What's the purpose of that going forward? Okay. What are you going to have to be quiet for? Like he said, think of all the things he probably witnessed and had to sit in and be like contemplating more. Like you said, the more you sit and be quiet, the more you think about something, the more you mull it over, the more usually God reveals to you in your silence and your pondering, you know what I mean? Your thoughtfulness.
Well,
I think that's a good point.
I think that part of the reason I see it that way is that's how it was taught.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as a child, that's how it was. If you're like, what happened? Well, because he doubted God, God took away his voice.
Yeah.
That sounds like a punishment,
no.
Especially to, as a kid or whatever. All of this in that same chapter, down in verse 29, it's when it says, confused and disturbed, Mary tried to think what the angel could mean. Don't be afraid, Mary, the angel told her, for you have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son. His name will be Jesus. He'll be very great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David, and he will reign over Israel forever, for his kingdom will never end. Mary asked the angel, how can this happen? Like you said earlier, I'm just a virgin. Like, I think we got to get past the fear of asking God how, why, and when.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this. I do agree with you that when doubt turns into disbelief, and it's just like, forget it. But I think it becomes, I don't know if the word is, I don't think it's sin. But what made Thomas so comfortable to ask Jesus the questions that he asked him when he asked him? When he was so loyal and close to, what made him so comfortable to ask those questions? Who are you, let me rephrase that. Who are you the most comfortable asking personal questions to?
Yeah.
Who?
Like in my life?
Yeah.
Probably my friends.
Just the people that you're closest to, right?
People I'm closest to. Yeah.
Why?
I thought that was rhetorical. Sorry.
No. Why?
Because I trust them the most.
Okay. So Thomas, it was evident that Thomas's trust and love for Jesus was he was not afraid to ask that question.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the people that you're closest to, that you love so much, those are the people. Like when you got questions about things, I know that how close you were to your dad when your dad was still alive.
Yeah.
You would call your dad and ask him questions about the Bible. You would call him like questions that maybe you didn't feel like you could ask other people because you trusted them, right? And so
it's not just that you trust the answer, you trust them with the question to begin with.
Absolutely. And I feel like that was the case with Thomas and Jesus. And so then who Jesus was didn't pan out the way Thomas thought it would. That sent Thomas in a tailspin. He was who he said he was. It just didn't play out the way Thomas thought it should play out. And it messed with him and he went into disbelief. Here's where I think it becomes something that borderline, I don't want to say even borderline sin. If you love somebody, if you trust somebody and you have doubt and you don't take it to them. Like if my husband or my children were questioning something about me and they didn't come to me, that would hurt me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you have doubt, when you're struggling with disbelief, when there's things in your life that you're like, man, I don't know if God is capable. I don't know if he will. I don't know what he means here. I don't know where he's at. When you're not taking that directly to the Lord, you're missing out on the opportunity for God to show up and show you. Whether that is stick your fingers in the holes of my hands or I'm going to shut your mouth for a minute so I can show you some things.
Right. And also, where's your doubt coming from? You got to think of what spawns us as humans, what spawns our doubt in the first place. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times I feel like it comes from unfulfilled expectations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we have this certain expectation of, when something happens in our lives, which it surely will.
Right. Always.
What are our expectations? And I think even Zechariah, to push it a little bit further, to go down, let me see here, further in Matthew 11, John, his son, John the Baptist, or John the Baptizer. We don't know if he's Baptist or not. Acted more like a Pentecostal, if you ask me. Slobbering and running around.
Eating them locusts.
Eating them locusts and not washing his hair. Just kidding. What? I have a Pentecostal cousin. I can say what I want.
Oh my goodness. Stop it.
I'm just kidding.
Stop it.
No, we talked about somebody saying they have a cousin that has something. So
anyway.
I think that's everyone's excuse. Anyway, but even John the Baptist, let me see if I can find it. Matthew, what is it? Matthew 11. After Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went from there to teach and preach to the towns of Galilee. When John, this is John the Baptist, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" Jesus replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me." As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. "What did you go out in the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No, those who wear fine clothes are in king's places. Then what did you go out to see? A prophet. Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one who has written, I will send my messenger ahead of you who is prepared." So there we see John. This is John the Baptist, who, as like you said, this is probably their second cousins. This is Elizabeth and thought to be Elizabeth and Mary, her first cousin. Mm-hmm. So this is probably second cousin, probably grew up seeing him at family reunions or whatever, and said, hey, you know, as soon as he saw him coming across it, that's the Messiah. That's the one. Y'all stop following me. I must decrease. Y'all stop following me. Time to follow him. The time is here. And who has recognized his glory and said, hey, I'm not fit to even take off your sandals.
Right.
Loose your sandals. And you have him saying, now I'm in prison. What the heck? I thought you were coming here to destroy the Romans.
Right.
Like most of the disciples, most everybody else. And now I have unfulfilled expectations of who I thought you were. Like that was John's doubt. So like I said, like, you know, like we talked about, Thomas doubted his activity. Zechariah doubted his power. And then now we have John doubting his identity.
Right.
And so, you know, when the Messiah comes, he'll set up his kingdom now. That was my expectations, you know, and he's hurt. He's like, this is the guy. It's like, hey, this is the guy that was saying, I'm going to set the captives free. I've come to set liberty to those who are bound, and now I'm sitting in prison. Let's speed it up a little bit, cuz like I'm in prison. And when you take those unfulfilled expectations, just like me and you and everyone else, and you add emotional and physical strain, that is a recipe for doubt.
Yeah.
Moses second guessed his, I didn't stutter on purpose talking about Moses. Moses second guessed his calling several times. Jeremiah wanted to quit the ministry. Elijah wanted to end his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Abraham didn't trust God with his wife, so he kept saying, pretend you're my sister.
Yeah. And when a believer, as we know well, we've seen this and play out many times, when a believer faithfully and sacrificially serves the Lord for years and then experiences a tragedy or series of tragedies, it's hard to figure that out. The loss of a child, cancer entering into a family,
right?
Major disabilities coming to you, a thorn in your side. We have questions. Where are you when I really needed you?
Right.
I've served you faithful for years. Then you doubt like John the Baptist. You doubt the identity of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But John didn't stew in his cell. He sent men out to examine Jesus. And he said, you guys go examine Jesus. You guys go figure this out. Like, I have unmet expectations.
I need to know. Come back and tell me.
Yes. And Jesus could have said, just like we talked, how did he respond to Thomas? How did he respond to John the Baptist? He could have just said, yeah, that's me. It's me. Go back and tell him. He said, no, tell him all the things you've seen. Tell him that the blind have seen, that the deaf have heard, that their leprosy have been cleansed, that all these miracles have happened before you. Should go back and testify to the power of my power and what I've done here on earth. And, you know, he could have said nothing. You know, he could have said, yeah. But because of all the predictions of the Old Testament and everything that John knew that Jesus was fulfilling, he got to go back and point him and say, hey, they knew John was going to know all of this stuff about him, and all of these predictions that were coming true. So it does, you know, and, you know, Jeremiah just say that he will heal the lame or make the lame walk and all this stuff. So he said, hey, go back, tell him.
Do you ever think about the fact that because John the Baptist grew up knowing Jesus as his cousin, and then when he is in the river baptizing, it shifted from a familiarity of family to the spiritual familiarity, that he had to fight the closeness of family to stay aware of the bigger picture. And so in that prison cell, he probably had to fight that, going back and forth between Jesus, my cousin, and Jesus, the Savior.
Yeah. And all three of those examples we gave today are Jesus answers those doubts with displays of love.
Yeah.
Meeting Thomas, finally, when Zacharias is allowed to speak, he's like, oh my Lord, you know, it's here. Yeah. And, you know, with John the Baptist, go back, tell him, you know. And so I think that's how we answer doubts if we are to be around doubters.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a I looked at my notes from a sermon I saw long ago, and the preacher who was preaching had 4 tips to dealing with doubters. One was be available. Like, people want a rational faith. They want
Which goes back to what we were talking about, the community, right?
Yeah, community. Mm-hmm. People want be patient.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen in one conversation. You're not going to dispel all their doubts for them. They're still going to have to meet with the Lord. But if you, as a believer, surround somebody with doubts, be patient. You're not going to undo what they're thinking in one. I mean, it may happen in one conversation. It has happened. That's fine.
Most of the time, it doesn't. And even if it does undo it, they, you know what I'm saying? They find themselves back.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen that? Like, you're like, and they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then 24 hours later, they're like, I know it made sense, but.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is going to take.
But I thought of something else.
Yeah.
What about this? It's like, that's fine.
Yeah. Let's work through that.
So be available, be patient, be prepared. Mm. So it's our charge to be well read up.
Yep.
Go read your Bible, like stay studied up on your Bible, read as much of your Bible, pick up an apologetics book, learn to know why you believe what you believe.
Right. Well, 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study to show yourself approved.
Yeah.
There's a reason. There's a reason that we have to know the word. We've got to be ready in and out of season. And that's not just for us. It's as we go and make disciples, it's to be ready for those people, right?
Yeah. And the last one that this specific preacher said was be nice. So be available, be patient, be prepared, and be nice. There's no room for an arrogant believer when it comes to people that are doubting.
Dude, be nice is its own sermon. Stop being mean, Christians.
Yeah. And
goodness.
With people with doubts, Jesus did not rebuke them. He answered them.
Be a nice Christian.
And then in verse 11 down here, he said, there's no one greater than John the Baptist. You know what I mean? No greater man born before women than John the Baptist. I mean, like he offered evidence and appeared just so he would believe, loved him. JB, John the Baptizer.
John the Baptizer.
He called him the greatest, no one greater born from a woman. So.
I thought the greatest of all times was Muhammad Ali, but I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're learning some stuff.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
So I think the beauty in all this, Charles, and I think it's for anybody listening, is that you're going to have doubt. You're going to face it. If you haven't yet, you will. If you're in a good spot, you won't always stay there. And it's knowing what to do when those doubts come. And I think that those 4 things that you just gave are important for how to deal with somebody with doubt. But those same 4 things apply to ourselves. What's the first one that you said?
Be available.
Okay. Number 2?
Be patient.
Okay. We need to be patient with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, be prepared. We need to study the word ourselves. And what's the next one?
Be nice.
We need to be nice to ourselves. Like this needs to be how we deal with others, but we have to deal with ourselves the same way. And it's so yucky because we want to pretend like, oh, as believers, this kind of stuff's not going to happen. But there is bad things that happen, and there is sickness, and there is tragedy. And it's like, what do I do in the middle of all this when I've been trusting God and then things don't go the way I asked for them to go? And it's really easy, man. The enemy wants to isolate us and make us feel nobody knows how you're feeling. Nobody's experienced what you're experiencing. In the back of your mind that that's not true. But the reality is in that moment, it really doesn't matter if anybody else has experienced it or not. That pain and that fear and those feelings, that's real. And so we have an opportunity to give up on God, or we have an opportunity to press in and to hold tight to his truth. I mean, I think shame on those who say real Christians don't doubt. Because the reality is,
shame on you.
Shame, shame, we know your name. No, that we all doubt. We all dealt. We all dealt. We all doubt.
Don't deal the Lord.
Have you seen that? What is it? White soft underbelly. That documentary about the people in West Virginia.
Oh no,
no, I just sounded like that. That's why I said that.
Oh,
it's like real. It's weird. It's crazy.
West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain
Mama. I knew you were going to say that. And I know you too well.
You know I love a good Mountain Mama.
Ladies, he's available.
No, I just meant like a Mountain Mama. It's already a mom. They'll cook for you.
Biscuits and gravy. Okay. So, I mean, I think this is a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we had it.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me to your grounds.
Yeah. I encourage everyone who's facing, or will be facing doubt to remember these things, man. It's real. Press in, find your community. Don't isolate yourself. Go to the Word. That's the other thing. Every single one of the people we mention, prophecy said these things were going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the Word, you find truth, and the truth is what sets you free. It's good. I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all, stick around for that extra shot. I'm Amber Noble, and you have been listening to Grounds for Conversations. To ensure you don't miss our next podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to hang around for an extra shot. Welcome back to an extra shot. Thank you, Charles, for joining us again. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Our last one was weird. I'm just going to say it.
Well, it was funny to me.
It was so funny. Okay,
Phil thought it was funny. Where'd you get the name Extra Shot anyway?
Well, Grounds for Conversations. It was a play off words.
Gotcha.
So grounds are like coffee grounds. Like when I have good conversations with friends, it's always with coffee, except for with you.
Gotcha.
Because you don't drink coffee. But like to me, great conversation happens with coffee.
So extra shot is like an extra shot of espresso.
It's going to be the extra punch. That
nice.
Wiki.
I like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like vaccine related.
Okay. Well, that's definitely not. We're not going to go there. All right. God, why are you such a pot stirrer? Like, let's get everybody all up in arms. We start getting emails. Excuse me. I need to know if you're pro or anti-vax. Potato.
If you guys need Amber's cell phone number, here you go.
No.
It'll be posted on the website. Glad
you don't have control of that. Here's the funny thing. They can call all they want. I don't answer.
That's true.
My phone, it's not anything. Here's the cool thing. It's not directed at anybody. My phone stays on silent.
Yeah.
Because it rings all the time.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for today?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Do you want to know what we're going to talk about?
Tell me. You kept this under wraps. So
I did because I wanted real, authentic reaction.
Okay. Well, spill the beans, sister. Oh, that was a coffee pun. Nice.
Oh, we're just doing all kinds of coffee. Look, before it's over, you might start drinking coffee.
Doubt it.
Have you ever had coffee?
No pun intended from what we talked about.
Stop it. Have you ever had coffee?
Nope. Never had it. Never even tasted it. Don't like the smell of it. I don't want to start now.
Let me just say this before we jump into what I want to talk about. You don't get to say you don't like something if you've not tried it.
That is absolutely not true at all.
Yes, it is, because you don't know. You don't know. Like, I understand, like, if you were a kid and I made food, you can't say, well, I don't like broccoli. Have you ever had broccoli? No. Try it. Okay, I still don't like it. Fine, fair enough. No.
I just don't like the smell of it. I'm allergic.
You don't throw that allergy. People like to do that. You're probably not even allergic to it.
I said I'm allergic to beans. Like, so like beans really mess with me.
Like regular beans or
Yeah. just anything in the bean and legume family.
So that's why you're allergic to cocoa?
I don't know. I'm definitely allergic to the cacao bean or whatever. I don't know if it's a bean or not. Somebody's going to tell you like, it's actually a fruit or something like that. And like, I don't care. I'm allergic to it. I got tested for it.
I hope that somebody does talk to me like that. Yeah. I want to know, so you don't ever eat you didn't grow up eating beans and cornbread?
No.
Beans and rice?
Nope.
Charles, that's because you're allergic, not because you didn't
hurts.
like it.
Yeah, it really hurts my stomach. Like it's bad. And not like and discomfort, gas, like the magical fruit, not that kind of hurt.
That's the saddest thing in the world.
Yep, it sure is.
When
I could think of
other sad things. Yeah. There's more sad things to that, Amber, you loser. You're like, oh, well, way to be sensitive, Amber.
I lost both my dogs in 1 week. Yeah, well, I can have beans. How do you think I feel? Get out of here.
Okay.
You sad sap. I love all my voices are the same, like grandma voice.
I know. You sound like somebody that's like on a porch in like backwoods Missouri, and you're like, hey, you got one tooth and it's just flapping in the wind.
A couple more, but they're in your pocket.
Because next to your harmonica and that rock you found in the street.
Pitch pipe.
Okay. So here's what I want to talk about.
Bill it. Let's go.
Strangest traditions from around the world.
Oh my gosh.
Let me make a note. We are not mocking culture.
No, you just Googled strangest traditions, like the most unusual.
Yeah. And guess what? One of them is the United States, and that's the turkey pardon.
Turkey pardon?
Yes.
Explain.
That is, let me see if I can go find it.
And when we mean by strangest, we mean like every country's not doing this. It's unique to that country.
Yes. Okay.
Or that region.
The United States does that Thanksgiving turkey pardon every year. That like the president.
Thanksgiving.
The president's like, this turkey won't die. The reality is somebody's going to kill that turkey. It's not like that turkey goes on to live for forever.
No. It doesn't go to like a farm for the rest of its days. Surely it does. That's the whole point.
Do you trust our government to take a turkey and follow through with it if they're not going to do that with the people? I'm just playing. I didn't mean any of that. I just want
them with anything else, but I trust the turkey ceremony.
That's hysterical. Like, I'm just messing. I was just okay.
You know what I would do if I was that turkey?
Tell me what you do.
I'd go out and commit a bunch of crimes the night before, knowing that I was going to get pardoned.
Like the purge?
Yeah. Oh, I'd just go steal someone's
turkey
car.
Purge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Purge, as I call it.
Whoever made the movie, what was that movie? Sharknado. Do you remember that? All seven of them or however many there was?
Turkey purge.
They should make a turkey purge.
Following the turkey before it gets pardoned. And be like, oh man, that turkey stole my car. You better catch him. He's getting pardoned tomorrow.
That turkey just tried to cheat with my wife.
Yeah. Get out of here, turkey.
That turkey just stole a bunch of money from the bank.
That's not illegal, by the way. You could do that free of charge without being arrested.
That turkey stole money. Oh yeah, it's just a moral thing. Okay. Yeah. That turkey. Okay, how about that turkey killed my wife?
Yeah, there we go.
You're like, that's just a moral thing. That turkey stole a bunch of money from the bank.
Oh yeah.
That turkey ripped the tag off the mattress.
Oh yeah. Do not remove under penalty.
You better not remove that. You're going to jail.
That turkey.
Turkey.
Man. Turkey lurking.
Okay, so let's look at some of these things. There's this thing in Spain. It's called
running with the bulls.
No.
Oh, weirder than that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Tomatina, Spain. Okay, so it's the largest tomato fight in the world.
Tomatia.
So what happens is
tomato fight?
Yeah, in 1945 it's basically like they use overripened tomatoes.
I'm listening. I'm looking it up as you're.
Yeah.
La Tomatina?
Yeah.
It's La Tomatina 2024. It's still going on.
Yeah. This is stuff everything I'm telling you still happens.
Oh my gosh. It looks like a bloodbath. Oh, those are tomatoes.
That's what I'm saying. Confused. They use overripe tomatoes and they just have a food fight. So you like, it's like a snowball fight, but with tomatoes. And everybody goes to like the village square and just throws it just looks like tomato sauce everywhere.
Oh, I would 100%
I would love to go to that.
tomato this up. This
Yes.
one's got a censored, like, don't open this picture unless you're sure. Oh, it's just tomatoes. Just tomatoes and people. Oh, this guy has his shirt off. This is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
What?
It's just funny to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of tomatoes. Do they use the tomatoes afterwards, you think? They're like, those tomatoes are gone.
It's crazy. Yeah, they're done.
Not using the tomatoes.
No, they're not using those tomatoes. Gross.
Tomato rain.
Okay.
Okay.
So the next thing in India, this is kind of like this still happens. Okay. It's really kind of devotees to the Hindu religion.
Okay.
They gather inside the temple, and all the priests will smash a coconut on their head. If you've ever held a coconut, they're hard. They smash coconuts on their head as a sign to the gods that they're asking for good health. So, like, it's been around since colonial periods.
Yeah.
Smashing coconuts on people's skulls in India. Do you know how many people probably have head injuries?
Yeah.
From that? And they still do it. And it said on one article, I said, despite warnings, they have continued to perform this act.
Oh, here's one of a guy just setting the coconut on the head and the other guy hitting it with a stick on his head.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put the lime in the coconut. Smash it on your head. Hey, here's the deal.
Okay.
Would you want it to be a coconut if it's getting whacked?
No.
But any other softer fruit, it would just transfer right to your head.
But most of the time, that's the thing. The putting it on the head and then whacking it's probably the safest thing. That's not what they're doing. They're taking it and smashing it on their heads.
Oh.
That's insane.
I think they do both because I'm looking at I'm a very visual person, so I'm just going to look up everything. I would like disguise a balloon as a coconut and be like, I'm ready to receive my coconut head. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay, so speaking of smashing, this is called polterabend. Polterabend. Polterabend in Germany.
Oh, Germany?
It means wedding shower, and it's a tradition in Germany that is generally held the day before a bride and groom are due to wed. Mm-hmm. And it's a big party where friends and family gather in front of the house and smash things on the floor, such as plates, flower pots, tiles, anything that makes a lot of noise, in order to bring good luck. The only exception being glass and mirrors, of course. So it's like all this china and all this stuff's just being shattered everywhere.
I'd throw my cousin on the floor. She makes a lot of noise.
Oh my goodness.
Holy crap. I looked up pictures of this. Every picture is just of them cleaning up. Like they're
because they're like, this was crazy.
Like, we're just going to show you the bad parts of this so you don't go do it.
Yeah.
Polterband.
Okay. Okay. Baby jumping festival. Have you ever heard of that?
I didn't know babies could jump, but go ahead.
Okay. So a baby jumping festival. This is so weird. In Spain, they will take whatever babies have been
back to Spain, baby.
Spain has been like, they're crazy. They take all the babies that have born that year and they put them on pillows and they dress up as yellow devils and they jump over them. And I'm like, what happens if you land on these babies? Like it doesn't, I haven't found any article that says, but,
I don't know if I'd call these devils. Oh, they're calling them devils.
They call them devils. Yeah.
Get out of here, yellow devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, he's got little sticks, man. Spain is crazy. Look at him jumping over the babies. These babies are just like, oh, shoot.
Don't die.
Take me to the tomato festival. I'm in the wrong festival.
Okay. What about, this one's fun. In England, they have a cheese rolling festival. And they take a wheel of cheese down a steep hill, and the first person to reach the bottom wins the cheese. So the cheese,
it's like a log of cheese.
They chase the cheese.
Gotcha.
And the first person at the bottom wins the cheese. And it's a steep hill. So people are breaking their ankles. They're like, I got to get that cheese.
Oh, I'd bring a wheelchair. Be like, I'm sorry. My leg hurt.
I'm winning this cheese.
I'm winning this cheese.
What about these things? This is so weird. This
Cotton
is the weirdest
candy,
one to me.
Sweet and gold. Let me see that cheese roll.
Oh, okay. A Welsh Christmas tradition. If you want to know what would scare the mess out of me and make me hate Christmas, it's this one.
Welsh
Christmas,
and then what is it?
Tradition. It is called
horse skull.
Yes,
it's the first thing that popped up. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. So.
Oh no.
Yeah. Let me tell you what they do.
No.
That this one involves playing around with a horse skull. First, it's decorated and then it's placed on a stick, and a person carrying the stick is covered in a white sheet as like an impromptu like a costume. Then they walk through the local village door to door asking to be allowed inside. But here's the crazy thing. So I read all into this before. They go to the door and they knock on the door and they sing the song, basically like, can we come into your house? And the person has to sing back to them, no, you may not. You're never to let them in. And it's becomes this big banter, and they all circle around and argue about why they can't come in. And there's this decorated horse skull. Horse skulls are terrifying looking. By the way,
anything that has like a horse skull and then like a big white sheet, make it seem taller than it really is. That freaks me out. Like I'm not like that. What are they saying in the song? Can you look that up? What's the song say?
I just told you. It's like, can we come into your house? No, you cannot.
That's it?
No. I don't like.
Have
I don't.
A good day. Down by the bay. I don't know. I just may.
I don't know all the details. I just think that's weird. But I've got one that I think is. I don't want to participate in this, but I want to show up and watch this. I'm popping popcorn. I'm here for it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's in Peru on Christmas Day. People participate in a traditional fist fighting competition called Takanakui, and it's to settle disputes from the previous year. So it's just like, man, just bring your beef.
Oh, women and children and everything.
Women will knock the mess out of each other.
Oh, shoot.
I here's my thing. I'd be afraid that I had said something sarcastic that people didn't know I was joking, and then everybody wants to fight me.
Oh, I'd be fighting the whole village. Takanakui.
You know who would never get in a fight? Who nobody would want to fight? Phil. Nobody would fight Phil.
I would fight Phil.
Phil would walk through the village and everybody'd stop fighting and they'd start hugging each other.
Yeah.
Oh. And then I'd walk through the village and they'd start fighting again.
And Phil would be like, Merry Christmas to all.
Yeah.
God bless us, everyone. I mean, they're wailing on each other.
Wailing.
I mean, I thought it was like, it looked like those slapping things at first, but they're like a straight out punch.
Yes.
It makes me want to tick off somebody in Peru just to be invited.
We can make that happen.
Takanakoi. What if I just said Takanakoi looks dumb? And they're like, get over here. We're flying you back. We're flying you to Peru.
Okay, so this is scary to me. In China, they carry their pregnant wives over burning coal.
Oh, sorry. I thought you just, the in China part was the scary part.
No.
Oh.
To ensure your wife will have a smooth delivery and that the baby will be healthy. But if the husband fails to do so, the baby is apparently doomed. So if the husband fails to carry his wife over the coal, the wife and the baby fall in the burning coal. Like, no thanks. I'll deliver in another country.
Holy moly, they do. They're carrying them on their back. Also, the stomach is right in between them and your back.
Yeah.
Is this like last trimester?
It's yes, it's not safe. Okay.
I'd be putting you on my shoulder.
In Australia.
Ladies, he's single when y'all get married and pregnant.
What'd you say?
I said I'd be carrying you on my shoulders.
Okay. In the Tunarama Festival in Australia.
Wait. What is it called?
Tunarama. I mean, it doesn't get better. First of all,
sounds like
a tuna fish is a big fish. Not like what you eat in a can, but like true tuna, it's a big fish.
Yeah,
okay.
It is.
In Port Lincoln, locals celebrate tuna industry with the events like the tuna tossing. They take tuna and they put like, they swing this tuna above their head and toss it like you do.
Discus.
Yes. Yes.
Man, all these people's faces are mid-swing. They're tossing is it the same tuna? Poor guy. Tuna.
Oh, this one makes me kind of sad.
Tuna-rama.
It's called Naki Sumo in Japan.
Oh.
It's a baby crying competition.
What?
Sumo wrestlers hold newborn babies and try to make them cry. The first baby to win cries. If a big fat dude in little panties is holding you.
I don't think the panties are little. I think they're the same size as the guy.
The reality is you're going to cry. I don't know. And if you're 25 years of age, you don't want to live in Denmark.
Hold on. Whoa. We're not glossing through these sumo baby crying competitions.
I said what I said. There's really not much more to be said except for it's creepy and weird.
They're just like.
Can you imagine you're in therapy later on in life and it's like, where were you born? And it's like, I was born in Japan and my life's been pretty great, but I don't know why every time I get around people wrestling, I have this need to cry. And then you find out that, it's because you were part of this as a child. And it's
my grandpa wears Depends and wanders to the living room and I just start crying. I don't know why.
Why do I cry? Okay, can we move on? Because this one's weird.
Oh, yeah.
25 years old, Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
You turn 25 and you find yourself unmarried, be extra suspicious. Your family and friends will most likely celebrate your big 25 by throwing you a cinnamon party, aka dunking you in enough cinnamon to remember for years to come. And we're not talking about a little cinnamon. This person looks like they've been the cinnamon challenge, like that stuff gets in like your sinus cavities and everything. While the unsuspecting travelers, these might seem way out of their...
These people are tied to a tree.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of them, they have goggles, but some of them don't. And you just get cinnamoned. That sounds awful.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad that I'm not.
Oh
25.
my gosh. These people are like tied to things.
Yeah.
This says Danish man accidentally engulfed in flames after pals covered him in cinnamon in a bizarre birthday ritual.
He went into flames?
No, like actually, I guess the guy was smoking a cigarette as they were doing it.
Is cinnamon flammable?
Sounds like to the board, to Google. Google we go. I mean, you better put some icing and some other delicious treats on me if you're going to dunk me in cinnamon.
You better just leave me alone.
Oh, no.
Okay, there is a thing, and I'm going to say it wrong. Fama Dihana. It's Dancing with the Dead. It's in Madagascar.
Whoa. Dancing with the
Dead. It's spelled FAMAD.
No, that's okay. There's probably only one Dancing with the Dead Madagascar.
No, I think that it's a song. It was a song that Green Day never produced.
Oh.
Just kidding. They do this in Madagascar. Okay. People literally dance with the dead bodies as part of the custom. After bringing bodies of ancestors from their burial place, they rewrap them in fresh clothes.
This is literal Dancing with the Dead.
Yeah. Like literally they dance around with them. Oh. There's another tradition where they pull people out of their graves every few years and they dress them up and hang out with them.
Nope. No. They're dancing with them. They're dancing.
Well, and here's what I don't want to be morbid, but they have rigor mortis. How do they they're like just
a little stiff on the dance floor.
They're just kind of like, I'm doing this. You can see me, nobody else can, but like you're just kind of like,
Actually, we're being recorded, so everyone can see you.
Like they're stiff, and so how to loosen up? I can't. I've been dead for 20 years.
20 years? Is it really?
They keep pulling them out of the grave. That's what you don't understand.
To dance with them?
Yes. Can I tell you something? If I die, I'm gonna be with Jesus. Leave my body in the ground.
This kind of stuff makes me want to be like, if they're cremated, do they just dance with the jar?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because if you dance with a jar, that looks like normal. That looks like, oh, you bought a jar and you were going home and you wanted to dance, you know? But if you're dancing with a dead body in a sheet, like that's way different.
Yeah. It's way different.
Thanks for the information.
I don't know. They said they wrap them up. I don't know. Okay. In England, there's a championship for making the funniest faces. It's called face pulling.
Jim Carrey's won the last 15 years.
For sure.
20 years.
Have you seen that woman that looks just like Jim Carrey? And she is trying to be a comedian.
Jane Carrey?
No, but she looks just like him, and she thinks she's so funny because she looks like him.
Woman?
And talks him. Yeah. I just can't get past the fact that she looks so much like him, but she's almost more manly than him. And she's like, of course I'm a comedian with this face. And I'm like, is
her stand-up funny?
I've only seen her on little TikTok videos or whatever. Like, she just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, she
like a face you're already familiar with.
But she does all his things already then and stuff.
Oh,
and I'm like,
gotcha.
You look like him and you're stealing his funny, but you're also a chick.
Just be a impersonator. Don't be a comedian.
She should go to Vegas or Branson. She should go to Branson.
Those are completely different things.
But I mean, she could go do an impersonator. She could be a tribute, instead of a tribute band, a tribute comedian.
She could be in the wax museum, only the only one that goes when you walk by.
Yeah. Okay.
Grab people. I would do that.
This thing in England, it's called World Gurning Championship.
Grooming?
Gurning. 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 It's been going on since 1267. They make the most grotesque faces possible. This one says 4-time world gurning champion Peter Jackman got his teeth removed to make the expressions easier.
Oh gosh.
They better be making some serious money to do that.
It looks like they get a toilet seat painted black. I don't know. Whatever they're wearing around their neck. That's what it looks like.
Okay. Did you know in Rome, they believe in feeding the dead? So their graves have pipes where they can put honey and wine and other food items down into the burial ground.
What is that, 2,000 years old? No, that's not new, is it?
Yeah.
Doesn't look new. You may have found an ancient tradition.
No. Here's what I do think is funny is in Turkey, they have camel wrestling.
I'd rather do turkey wrestling and camel,
Okay, this is a gross one. Are you ready for this?
Hold on, camel wrestling.
This makes me so uncomfortable.
Hold on. You're going through these two. Oh, they're wrestling them. Oh, the camels are wrestling each other. Way different. All right, go ahead.
In Venezuela and Brazil, they have this tradition. Obviously, this is more tribal people. The Yanomamo tribe from Brazil and Venezuela does. Okay, they do this. Tradition forbids them from keeping any body parts. All bodies are burned and crushed, and the remains are divided among the family members, and they eat them. They eat the ashes.
Wait. Of criminals or dead people? What's going on?
Dead people of family members. So cousin Sally dies. They cremate her. They distribute Sally's ashes and they all consume it. I don't know if they sprinkle it on their salad. Yeah, I don't know. Do they sprinkle it on their salad? Do they mix it with some ranch and dip some chicken in it? I don't know.
Oh, no. I do not. I shouldn't have Googled this.
I don't feel like the Lord's calling me to go and minister to the Yanomamo people, but I believe that somebody should.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ashes everywhere. Look at those ashes.
Well.
Okay.
It's gross.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not I'm not going to judge your culture, but like,
I'm judging that.
You got to
one.
draw the line to.
Well, they said that it's keeping their life with them. And I'm like, it's going to be crazy when they stand before the Lord and they find out that was all unnecessary.
It was only just a dream of ashes.
Did you know that in Indonesia, that when someone dies, so that you can experience physical pain of what your heart is feeling, you cut off a part of your finger.
What?
It's supposedly done to satisfy ancestral ghosts, which obviously we don't believe in. We've talked about that.
Nope, we didn't.
Yes, we talked about ghosts in the last.
Oh, in the last ending or
extra shot.
Cut off finger. Indonesia cut off finger. I'm just gonna Google that.
Okay.
Oh, just the women do it.
Yeah, because men don't care.
Well, men are protected from ghosts naturally. I don't know if you know this. We don't have to chop.
Fun fact. Okay, I think that this might be one of the weirdest ones. Maybe not. It's definitely not as weird as eating ashes, but
I'd be like, kill me first. I ain't cutting off my fingers.
In Northern Born, that's called a bathroom ban. And they do this.
We had that at Target.
The couple is not allowed to use the bathroom till 3 days after the wedding. No urinating.
In what? Bjorn?
Born, Borne. Bathroom ban is another lame custom followed by the Tidong tribe from Northern Born, is what it says. I would agree that it's a lame custom. First of all, I have the bladder of my grandpa. You could say you're not drinking anything or eating anything for 3 days. I'll still go to the bathroom. I'll still have to use the restroom.
Is this like number 1 or number 2?
All of them.
No.
You're not allowed to leave the room. You get married. Okay, can you imagine the first 3 days you're married to this person? Neither one of you, you're spending the first 3 days in agony, hoping that you don't have to go tinkle. 3 days. You're not allowed to leave the room. So the tribe believes that if it leads to a happy married life, the family ensures that the couple eats and drinks only small amounts. 3 days.
Dang.
I don't know how, my marriage would fail. And it wasn't because my heart wasn't in it.
Just another unreal expectation set on women's bodies. Am I right?
Shut up. What about that? Do they still do the thing where, in Thailand? Because I know you've been to Thailand.
Don't ask me because I didn't know any of these.
You know this one because you love Thailand. You love people from Thailand.
Thailand, the place that sells ties down there by the interstate. I've never been to the country.
The long necks that they put those rings on their necks.
Oh.
They wear rings around their necks and they all
bells around their toes.
But do they still do that? Do they still practice that tradition? Rings around their necks in Thailand?
You know where I first saw that? Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Did you? Okay, this is a weird question, but did you see that when you were in Thailand?
It's not in Thailand. It's in Burma or Myanmar.
They do it in Thailand too.
Well, if they do it in Thailand, it's from the people that have escaped from Myanmar.
How do you escape with all them rings on your neck?
Very carefully. You don't go next to trees or magnets.
You're passing the junkyard.
This has nothing to do with anything, but have you ever seen the music video for Miracles by Insane Clown Posse?
No. That
was the right answer. Because you need to see it. Anyone should go Google it because it's basically Insane Clown Posse, which I never heard any other of their songs, but a long time ago we saw this and thought it was funny. And it's just them going through different things and calling it miracles. They're like, Midnight Coast, it's a miracle. And magnets, how do they work? Miracles every day.
You know, that sounds like Rhett and Link. Do you ever know who Rhett and Link were? My kids loved Rhett and Link when they were younger.
Yeah. I want you to look up the lyrics to Miracles by...
How much time do we got?
We're probably over by 10 minutes. I don't know. Phil's probably like, you're over by an hour on the extra shot.
Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah. If magic is...
If magic is all... Okay, I'm going to read it to you guys. Okay. I feel like this is going to cause... First of all, I don't even know... I've never even heard of Insane Clown Posse.
ICP?
Okay, you can say whatever you want. I've never heard of them. I feel like that I'm going to lose brain cells from this, though. If magic is all we've ever... Is this inappropriate? Am I going to get into something weird?
No. It's literally them calling everything miracles.
Okay.
Like you should you should look around the world in wonderment. They're not like...
Well, it's kind of that's kind of true, but still, anyway, if magic is all we've ever known, then it's easy to miss what really goes on. But I've seen miracles in every way, and I see miracles every day. Oceans spanning beyond my sight, and a million stars way above them at night. We don't have to be high to look in the sky and know that that's a miracle opened wide. Look at the mountains, trees, and the seven seas and everything chilling underwater, please. Hot lava, snow, rain, and fog. Long-necked giraffes and pets, cats, and dogs. I've seen 85,000 people all in one room together as equals. Pure magic is the birth of my kids. I've seen stuff that'll shock your eyelids. Thank you. The sun and the moon and even Mars. Okay, there's a lot of inappropriate words in this song.
Oh, yeah.
The Milky Way and shooting stars.
They're not like a kids band or anything. Like they're just...
Well, but they've got the mentality of like a third grader. UFOs and a river flows. Plant a little seed and nature grows. Niagara Falls and the pyramids. Everything you believed in as kids. Rainbows after it rains. There's enough miracles out here to blow your brains. I fed a fish to a pelican at Frisco Bay. It tried to eat my cell phone. He ran away. And music is magic, pure and clean. You can feel it and hear it, but it can't be seen. Oh. The fact that did they make money off this?
Oh, they have millions of followers. It's not even funny. They dress up as clowns, but they have black and white makeup, and their fans are called juggalos. You ever heard of that?
Like, I'm kind of glad I don't know about this.
Oh, you know about it now, and the door will never be shut again.
Oh, I'm going to go pray about this now. So that door is shut. And a believer in miracles, you can't even hold it. Do you notice and recognize miracles? It's just there in the air. Are you a believer in miracles? Pure magic, right? I'll blow your mind. Music is a lot like love. It's all a feeling. And it fills the room from the floor to the ceiling. Like they're just rhyming.
Yeah.
Like
little simple words.
Yes. Like I could do this, Charles.
Water, fire. This is my favorite line. Water, fire, air, and dirt. Flipping magnets. How do they work?
And I don't want to talk to a scientist. Y'all lying. Okay. So it's like
get me ticked.
I'm a firm believer that people who cuss are struggling with words on how to express themselves.
Oh, these people are struggling with words.
Period.
That, yeah.
Period. And so then they add cuss words. It's like, yeah, we get it, buddy. We get it.
Solar eclipse and vicious weather. 15,000 juggalos together. That's their followers.
And I love my mom for giving me this time on this planet, taking nothing for granted. I seen a caterpillar turn into a butterfly. Miracles ain't nothing to lie. Shaggy's
the
little
guy rapping.
Huh?
Shaggy's the other guy rapping.
Oh, I thought Shaggy was the...
No, like not Scooby-Doo.
No, I was thinking of... It wasn't me. Oh. Shaggy's little boys look like Shaggy. And my little boys looks just like Daddy. Miracles each and everywhere you look. and nobody has to stay where they're put. Well, okay.
You
Charles.
know, whatever. This is poetry in motion, Amber.
Mm.
You know, if you just change a couple words and put Maya Angelou at the bottom, people be eating this stuff.
Maya Angelou. Okay, so now here's what it's done for me, though. It's challenged me that I'm gonna start writing these kind of poems, and I'm gonna send it to you.
This isn't a poem. This is their song.
No, but I'm gonna. Insane Clown Posse. Anyway, okay. So there's a lot of weird things around the world. I'm glad we discussed it.
Yep. We ended with the weirdest of all.
No, the weirdest is still the ashes. Or the baby jumping. They have baby throwing too.
Well,
some weird stuff you do with babies, man.
Spain. Who knew?
Spain's pretty legit, man.
They're putting them back on the map.
Spain represents Spain. I'm going tomorrow and getting a Spain jersey.
Spain jersey for what?
Soccer.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, just for the country?
Just a flag.
Go Spain.
I'll just get one of their soccer. And I'll be like, why? They're like, why are you representing that? Do you know what this country's capable of?
Yeah.
Do you know what they do in this country?
Do you know anything about tomatoes or babies? I don't think so, buddy.
Can you imagine thinking that the the Tomato Festival was on one day and you were a day early and you just start pelting people and they're like, it's not till tomorrow.
Or you show up a day early to the Tomato Festival and it's the baby festival. And you're like, what the heck? What's this got to do with tomatoes?
Are we jumping over babies?
What do I do with these tomatoes?
You start throwing them at the babies. Everybody's like, you're doing it wrong.
No, that's tomorrow.
I would much rather go to Spain and do the Tomato Festival than go and get coconuts cracked over my head.
Mm.
There are some of these festivals I would be all down for. I would love to go and watch the people in Peru fist fight on Christmas Day.
I'd want to go to that German one. What was it about? Pickles? No, what was it about?
Pickles is your dog.
My dog that licks my eyeballs.
Gross. There is I think that some of these would be fun.
Yeah.
Some of these festivals would be fun.
Do you
remember Seinfeld when he had Festivus?
For the rest of us?
Where he got to complain about things, feats of strength.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the level below the fist fighting in Peru. Festivus would go into fist fighting. Except for Festivus was Jewish. And fist fighting is just what you do on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Peruvian Christmas. I'm going to start celebrating Peruvian Christmas and just
punching people.
Knock some of my cousins around. Hey, this year we're doing Peruvian Christmas.
Was that prepared. The same cousin you wanted to throw on the ground because...
No, that's a girl.
Christmas?
I wouldn't hit a girl.
You just throw her on the ground because she's loud?
Well, toss, not throw. I mean, just a little... boop. She's top heavy. She would just plop over.
Oh, you guys, thank you for joining us for this ridiculousness. I think if anything today, God bless America. Thank you, Jesus, for America.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you that they pardoned a turkey.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not tossing babies and eating ashes or digging up skulls. Or cracking skulls or digging up our family members and dancing with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got a lot to think about.
Lots to think.
And you got a lot of Insane Clown Posse songs to catch up on.
Fun fact, that's not happening. I'm
even funner fact, yes it is.
No, it's not.
It's either that or you're getting doused in cinnamon. It's your choice.
Oh, I would come out fighting on that one.
You wouldn't be able to see.
I would just start swinging.
I know, and I'd silently dip away with my fast feet that don't have any socks on.
But you would step in the cinnamon side to follow your track. All right.
And I wouldn't go.
All right. Away. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. I mean, about this. Gotcha. We're done talking about this.
Yeah.
Everyone. Hey, thank you guys for joining us today on this extra shot. We'll catch you next time.
This podcast is a production of One Loud Voice Ministries. One Loud Voice is a hands-on discipleship initiative. We believe that giving people the opportunity to minister to others and experience God working through them is one of the best ways to grow as a follower of Jesus. One Loud Voice participants get the opportunity to work on a team of adults and students, partnering with churches to reach their communities. If you would like to support our efforts to make disciples and reach the next generation for Christ, please visit our website, oneloudvoice.org. To contact us for speaking engagements or for more information on how you or your church can get involved, please email us at info@oneloudvoice.org.